Good day, everyone. Neophyte DAG bringing you another message. And this is the continuation of part 4, which is the laws and commandments of the Most High. And what we're going to pay attention to on this message is the restoration portion of it. We covered the Jubilee in the previous message. Now we're going to concentrate on the restoration. This is going to give us the start of the restoration all the way to the end of the restoration time and all the events that will occur during that time and the time frame in which they will occur. So with that, let's get started on this. It's a very interesting message, so I want you to pay very, very close attention to this. And whatever you learn from this, implement it, put it into practice. It's going to be very critical that you do this, because the restoration of the children of Jacob, which is the same as the children of Israel, which is the same as the children of Lewis, is about you. So pay very close attention. Let's get started. This brings us to Exodus 12, verse 40. And what is this verse telling you? Let's read it together. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. So what is this telling you? It's combining the 400 years of affliction, and then it's adding another 30 years for the restoration. So let's read this now with the deeper spiritual lens on. Now the temporary stay of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt, when you see Egypt in the Bible, it's referring to America, and I'll show you that in a few minutes, was 430 years. So the 400, the time of affliction, the 30 is the time for you to restore yourself back to health, back to your land, back to your family. And it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen with the assistance of who has been afflicting you. There are going to be events that cause these things to happen, and you have to walk into those things and those events because you know it's going to happen. And that's during the 30-year period. Let's look at the 30-year and see how the Bible came up with this number. Again, we're going to use the golden ratio to determine how the 30 years come about, because the Bible has the golden ratio, the numbering the stars, embedded in the numbers and the verses that are given to you. 50 Bible years of 360 days per year, that's 18,000 days in total. And if you take the golden ratio of the 18,000 days, that is 18,000 divided by 1.618034, you're going to get 11,124.613 days. If you convert that to man years, you divide 11,124.613 by 365.25 days per year. That factors in the leap year. You'll get 30.45753 years. That's how the Bible came up with the 30 years of restoration, because you will be restored on that golden ratio time within the first Jubilee after the 400 years ended. The golden ratio is speaking to you and very loudly telling you your cosmic critical event is going to occur 30 years. 30 years, your restoration should be fully done. Numbering the stars again presented to you in the golden ratio. And if you apply that same golden ratio on the biblical years, it's telling you by 4/18/2044, the restoration should be at its end. If you're calculating it based on man years, the Gregorian years, it's telling you it's going to be on January 15th, 2050, because the Gregorian calendar is running at a longer period than the biblical calendar The Gregorian calendar uses 365.25 days per year, while the biblical calendar uses 360 days per year. Take a minute, absorb the calculation that's being done, and you'll see where the golden ratio, the divine sacred geometry, is always in use in the Bible information that you're getting. Let's look at a few things that will occur at the time of when the 430 years is over. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the same day it came to pass, that the host of Thoth, the Lord, went out from the land of America, the land of Egypt. The host went forth. And what happened on that same day? It is the night to be much observed, much celebrated unto the Lord Thoth, for the bringing of the children out of the land of Egypt, the land of America. So the children of Israel are going to be led out of the land of America. They're not going to leave America. They're going to leave that portion which was the land of America and move into their own portion, which is the promised land that was promised unto them. That's going to happen by the time this 430 years have ended. And they, on that night of the Lord, to be celebrated by all the children of Israel. That's going to be their independence day night, their new independence of the children of Israel. And that's going to come at the end time of the 430 years. Whether you want to use the biblical calendar or man's calendar, it's up to you. I generally use the biblical calendar. I don't rely on man's calendar. So in my interpretation of this, I'm looking at this as the 430 years on the biblical interpretation of it. Let's go back to that for a second. So I am looking at August 18th, 2044. If you want to look at it from man's time, you can look at it January 15th, 2050. But I'm always staying with the Bible. I try not to rely too heavily on man's Gregorian calendar. So going back to this, the children of Israel shall have their day of celebration on the night of the ending of the 430 years. 400 dedicated to the affliction time, 30 to the restoration time. How do I know America is where the affliction is going to be? I go to this book, Ancient Mystics, the Oriental Masonry. That's where the elites have buried their information, and that's where you have to go and pull some of the information out to know what is it that they know that you need to know. And on page 25 of this book, it will give you some very interesting facts on what's going on in America. Let's read item number 6. In America, rediscovered in the 15th century and repopulated in the 17th century, was recovered Egypt and the Promised Land, the land of the eagles. So that's why I was able to recode the beginning. Those that afflicted are the ones associated with the eagle. And wherever the carcass is, the children of Israel that are dead in their Christ consciousness, the eagles shall gather, coming back here to the eagle, the land of the eagle. So the children of Israel will be gathered in the land of the eagle, which is America, rediscovered in the 15th century, repopulated in the 17th century, was the recovered Egypt, the promised land. So it's known that America is the promised land. America was the ancient Egypt that is now rediscovered So wherever you see in the Bible that it's mentioning Egypt, it's the code word for America. I went outside of the conventional Bible and I consulted more plainly written sources. If you go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9, in plain language, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. What does that mean? Esau will be in power at the end time of this world that we're in. And if you look around you see Esau is in power that is diminishing at this particular point in time. Esau is representative of Eve, representative of Japhetites, representative of the Gentile. They're all within the same. It's describing the people of Caucasian complexion that's currently ruling the land of the eagle. But Esau is going to be the end of this world, this time, this procession that we're in, the procession of Pisces, which is now transforming into the procession of the Aquarius. Esau will be at the head, and Esau will be flipped to the tail. The last shall be first, first shall be last. Whoever is at the tail now, and we all know who's at the tail, the ADOS is at the tail. It's clear, no denying that, which is represented by the house of Jacob, the house of Israel, the house of Louis, is going to be at the head to start the new procession of Aquarius, the one that followeth after the procession of Pisces has ended. As impossible as it may sound, so as it's written in the scriptures, so shall it be. And I'll show you how it will be and how it has been written in the scriptures. There are 5 events that's written up in the Bible that will occur during the time of the transition from the head to the tail and from the tail to the head. And this is the relationship between Esau and Jacob. Esau is representative, as I've told you, of the Eve race, the Japhetite race, the Gentile race, which is talking about the same people, the Caucasian people. In our term, it's called the white people. And Jacob is a representation of the dark-skinned people. In our time, they're called the blacks that are living North America, South America, Central America, and in the Caribbean. But the one in particular that we're focusing on right now are the ones living in North America, the United States of America. These are 3 of the things that I want to talk about first, because this is covered in the story of Jonah that was given in the New Testament. And we'll go through each of them one at a time, but now I'll give you the highlights. In the time of Jonah, there's going to be a civil war event in America. Also, at the time of Jonah, there'll be a world war on American soil. And at the time of Jonah, that will bring in the conquest and the fall of the American empire. Where am I getting this information from? I'll show you right now. Luke 11, verse 30, and Jonah 3, verse 4. Put those 2 verses together, you get the situation that I just described, where there is a civil war, a world war, and a fall and collapse of the American empire. Let's read Luke 11, verse 30 first. For as Jonas was a sign unto the Ninevites, so shall also the Son of Man be to this generation. Let's decode it. For as Jonah, when changing the S to an H to match the Jonah in the Old Testament, was a sign unto the Ninevites, or the Ninevites. Ninevites were the people living in Nineveh at that time. And Nineveh was one of the states of Assyria, the Assyria Empire at that time. So shall also the Son of Man, who's the Son of Man? Louis, be to this generation. What is this generation? The Americans, that matches the Ninevites. So let's read it one more time. For as Jonah was a sign unto the people living in Nineveh, so shall Lewis, the Son of Man, be to the people living in America at this time. And what was the sign Jonah had to pass on to the people of Nineveh? It is the same sign that the Son of Man, Lewis, will pass on to our generation now in America. Let's read Jonah 3, verse 4 to find out that sign. And Jonah began to enter into the city a day's journey, and he cried and said, Yet 40 days Nineveh shall be overthrown. Let's decode this as well. And the Son of Man, Lewis, began to enter into the city a day's journey. He cried and said, Yet 40 days the America shall be overthrown. That's what the decoding tells you. It tells you of the overthrowing of the American empire. So all you have to do now is go back, do some history on Nineveh, and see the events that happened at that time. And those will be the similar events happening at this time in the American generation. What's the importance of Jonah 3 verse 4, and what is it talking about? It's describing a situation of what occurred in the empire of Assyria, and Nineveh was a state of Assyria. And Jonah's responsibility was to go to Nineveh and declare that a civil war, a world war, and a collapse of the Assyrian Empire is coming, and they should change their ways and start to listen to the word of God in order to escape from all the tribulations that's going to happen as part of that fall of Assyria. Did most people listen? As now, not too many people will listen. There are not too many willing ears, but it doesn't mean the events aren't going to occur. I'm going to show you all the list of events that occurred in Assyria at that time, which leads up to the fall of Assyria and the state within Assyria of Nineveh. So that's what Jonah, the story was, a sign of Jonah. It means that there's some event that's going to occur in whatever generation they're talking about of the Son of Man, and it's the generation of America, and the Son of Man is already in America. So it's telling you this is going to happen to America, whatever happened at Jonah time. And what happened in Jonah time? The Assyrian Empire was overthrown. Same thing is going to happen in the Son of Man time. The American Empire will be overthrown. This is the list of events that occurred in Assyria during the time of Jonah. And what I've done for you, I gave a chronological order of all the things that occurred from the beginning of the fall of the Assyrian Empire all the way to the complete fall of the Assyrian Empire. It started in 631 BC. That's when the decline started with the death of the Assyrian Emperor in 631 BC. And then all these events occurred until 605 BC, the complete fall of Assyria. And as you can see, it's close to about 30 years all of this occurred. What is this tying into? It's tying into the 30-year that we're going to go from the head, whoever's at the head is going to fall to the tail, and whomever is at the tail is going to be moved to the head. Will it happen over a 30-year period? Yes, it will happen. Will the whole Jonah, Assyria event occur over 30 years? I don't know. I'm just giving you the chronology as the events that occurred in Assyria at the time of Jonah that's described in the Bible. We'll look at the Civil War section. About 8 different events occurred during the Civil War era of Assyria, all the way from a new king being crowned. One died, a new one was crowned. As he was crowned, a couple of cities were taken over for 3 months. That's in 627 BC. He regained control of those cities, and then shortly thereafter, there were 6 different revolts within the Assyrian Empire, where different states are revolting against the leader, the emperor, the president of the Assyrian Empire at that time. While all of that was happening, the Assyrian leaders and politicians fighting among themselves and being extremely divided and cannot come together as a nation, the enemies of the Assyrian Empire sensed that they were weakened and began plotting against them. Then that's where the World War era kicked in. There are several different empires that were warring with Assyria at the time. There are two of them. They formed an alliance, and that the alliance was between the Medes, the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, the Persians, the Scythians, and the Sumerians, and they formed an alliance to attack Assyria. That occurred in 1616 BC, and the reason why I'm pointing out those different nations is that those nations in our modern time are located in the region of Iran, Iraq, also in the China region, Asia, that's Eurasia steppe, and in the Russia-Ukraine regions. That's where these nations that attacked Assyria are located in our modern times. And as you can see from the environment, the atmosphere that we're living in, the war climate, it's these same nations in the modern time that are not friends with the American empire. So there's going to be, from what this is telling us, there's going to be an alliance between the Iranian Empire, the Iraqi Empire, and the China Empire and the Russian Empire, if history is supposed to repeat itself. And that alliance will cause an invasion of the American empire, and then there'll be a complete fall of that empire as a result of that invasion. And as you can see from the World War section of the chart, from 616 BC, when the alliance was formed, within 2 years, 614 BC, Ashur, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, fell, and other cities and states within the Assyrian Empire also fell. Our modern day of Ashur would be Washington, D.C., the capital. Then Nineveh fell in 612 BC, Haran fell in 609 BC, and in 605 BC, the complete fall and destruction of the Assyrian Empire. Study this list because this is going to give you the Jonah time that Luke 11 is talking about, that whatever happened during Jonah time, that will be a sign that the Son of Man, who's going to be the equivalent of Jonah in our time, when he shows up in our generation, where is he going to show up? In America, these similar events will occur. That's what the sign of Jonah is letting you know, and you just have to read the signs and follow those signs. Another way to validate the time of Jonah and the civil war that will first occur in America, now we go back to numbering the stars. And part of numbering the stars, we're going to put in play the law of correspondence, which means as above, so below, so below, so above. What does that mean? Whatever event occur at the bottom of the numbering the stars, it's going to occur at the top. Once you draw a straight line, it will give you the direction in which that event is also going to occur. So as above, so below. And as below on the circle, you'll see America's first civil war in 1861. If you trace that line, it will take you on the correct trajectory at the above point of the circle that civil war is going to occur. So the starting point for the new circle, the new 400 year we're talking about, it starts at 2013 if you're looking at the biblical year. And if you're looking at the man year, it starts at 2019. But at a point shortly thereafter, that's where the Civil War event is going to occur. Within a few years, I wouldn't even put it to many years, just a few years after 2013 or 2019, there will be a Civil War event as below, so above. So you draw that straight line. If you look on the circle here, what I'm showing, there's a red line, not a burgundy line, the red line, which shows you after 2013, but before 2043, there's going to be a civil war event. And that red line is closer to the beginning of the start of the first Jubilee. So that means it's going to happen at the beginning portion of the first Jubilee, which starts 2013, or in our time now, the man year 2019. So there are two ways you can prove out what's coming in the first Jubilee of this new 400-year circle that started in 2013 by numbering the star using the law of correspondence, as below, so above. And then now you can go into the Bible and look at prophecies. Luke 11, where it says, there shall be no sign given except the sign of Jonah, because as Jonah was a sign unto the Ninevites, so shall the Son of Man be to this generation. Whatever signs that were available in Jonah time will be the same sign used in our generation now, which is starting the new 400-year cycle. One of the signs I want you to pay very, very close attention to in the Bible story of Jonah in Nineveh is that Nineveh in the Bible story was not destroyed. However, Nineveh in the real life story of Assyria was destroyed. It's giving you a sign there that there's a difference between the results of one, the actual event, versus what the Bible is telling you. And what is it telling you? That Nineveh, if you identify where that is, it will be the safe zone that will not be destroyed during the Civil War, the World War, and the conquest of America at our current time. Where is Nineveh in our modern day time? Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Those are the areas you want to be in, because as the story is telling you, Nineveh was not destroyed in the biblical interpretation of the story. The other sign that was given as well by the initiate speaking as Jesus was a time of Lot event. What happened during the time of Lot? There was brimstone and fire raining down on Sodom and Gomorrah, two biblical cities in the Bible. Where did those brimstone and fire came from? Those were what we call in our time meteor shower, asteroid shower. And how does this relate to our time? There's going to be meteor shower, asteroid shower raining down on American soil, causing a lot of devastation. How do I know this? I'll show you how. Luke 17, verse 28. That's where it's coming from. And then verse 29 as well. Let's read Luke 17, verse 28. Likewise, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. They're doing all the things we're doing now. But the same day that Lot went out of the city of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. In Luke 17, verse 29, there is something I want you to pay very, very close attention to, and it's where Lot went out of Sodom. And why did he went out of Sodom? Because there's fire and brimstone is going to be rained down on Sodom. But where did he go? Lot went to a safe place so he would not be destroyed by the fire and the brimstone, the asteroid shower that was coming. Where is the safe place in our time? The safe place is Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. That's the designated restoration lands for the children of Israel. Let me repeat, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So those are the areas that are designated as the safe zone where the children of Israel will not be harmed by any of the destruction that's coming, whether it's through the Jonah event, the Lot event, and what we're going to explore in the next few slides is the Noah event. Keep that in mind. They all went to a safe place. Noah went to the ark. The ark is the code word for the safe zone in America. Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. There's going to be a meteor shower, an asteroid shower event similar to the time of Lot that's going to happen in our time. And people are going to go about their business as usual, as if they think nothing is going to happen. They ate, they drank, meaning they went to their restaurant, they partied and drank, they bought all kind of stuff, they sold all kind of stuff, they planted all kind of different things, and they made all kind of fabulous buildings and homes. But then the meteor shower came and destroyed all of it. Don't be the one that get caught up in this, being the foolish virgin and not being the wise virgin who would know that these things are coming and start planning ahead of time to get yourself to safety. 4 zones that will be safe, that won't get a lot of these meteor showers and these war events that are coming. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, those are designated the safe zone when you read the Bible in terms of the promised land, that no affliction, no suffering will be going on in those areas, while all the other areas within the U.S. soil is subject to the devastation that's coming. So this is one of them. There's one other that's coming as a result of this, and that's the time of Noah. What happened during the time of Noah? When we read the Bible, we know there's a flood, a catastrophic flood during the time of Noah. And this is now telling you that a similar type of catastrophic flood will be on the American soil. When meteor shower or asteroids hit the ocean, it normally causes a tidal wave, which in turn causes flooding. And this is what's impending based on the event that we know is going to occur around meteor shower. And let's read about this as well, coming out of Luke 17, verse 26, Luke 17, verse 27. As it was in the days of Noah, it's telling you Noe, know that, Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. So when the Son of Man returns, then this is going to happen, same as the Lot event, same as the Jonah event. Jonah was a son of man during his time. Now the new Son of Man, which is Lewis, at this time when he's come about, this Noah event shall occur, the Lot event shall occur, and the Jonah event shall occur. And same thing that happened during the Lot time. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given into marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. So there are 2 events that's talked about in Luke where something came and destroyed them all while everyone was busy carrying on with their daily life, drinking, marrying wives, meaning getting all kind of things and ideas, sinful ideas in your mind and executing them. And they were given into these thoughts. They were putting their energy into the thoughts. So it's really not marrying a physical wife. When you see wives, it's meaning thoughts. And when you marry yourself to wife, marry yourself to thoughts, that means you're pulling in these thoughts as your own thoughts and you're carrying them through. And very likely the thoughts that you're pulling in is not of a spiritual nature, but more of a physical nature. And therefore you would miss the message that's coming to you, that you need to ready yourself for these events that are coming, because no matter how much you think they're not coming, they are coming. And you just have to get yourself ready. So when the Son of Man time comes, which is now, it started in the year 2017, per Daniel 9, verse 25. The Son of Man time has started. It has already begun. And it's going to be up until 2043, where the full conversion and restoration of the children of Israel occur. And we're only about 20 years removed from that. So the Son of Man time is very near at hand. This brings me to Deuteronomy 28, verse 13. And the reason why I want to point this out is that it adds more strength, validity, and assurance to 2 Esdras 6, verse 9. And what does that say? Esau is the end of the old world, and Jacob will be the beginning of the new world that cometh thereafter. If you're equating this now back to the Egyptian star, Esau would be the end of the 400-year period. Esau is going to fall once he reached that 400-year period, and now Jacob would be put at the top in the new 400-year period. Deuteronomy 28 verse 13 confirms that. And the Lord, we know the Lord is Thoth, shall make thee the head. Who is thee? The children of Israel, the children of Jacob, the children of Lewis, the same person we're talking about. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and Israel is the code name for Lewis. A reminder of who are the children of Jacob, the children of Israel, the children of Lewis. They are the dark-skinned people in America that are descendants of slaves. That's the children of Israel, the children of Jacob, the children of Lewis, the American descendants of slaves, the ADOS. And who are the house of Jacob, the house of Israel, the house of Lewis? That's all the dark-skinned people in North America, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean that are descendants of slaves. So the children of Lewis shall become the head and not the tail. And then it will transition to the house of Lewis shall also become the head and not the tail. The children of Lewis now are the tail. The house of Lewis now are the tail. So what's going to happen is going to move them from the tail to the head. This is telling you you're no longer going to be the tail. You're going to be the head. And thou shalt be above only, and you shall only be above. You're not going back to any tail. You shall be the head. And thou shalt not be beneath. You're not going to be the footstool for anyone. Not at all. You're going to be the head. You're going to stay the head. You're going to be the lender. You're not going to borrow anymore. You're going to be the banker. You're not going to be begging anymore. You're going to control your own nation, your own country. You're not going to be sponging off anyone. And you're going to have all the political, economics, food. You're going to grow your own food. You're going to have your own wealth. You're going to have your own right hand, your own political system. You're going to govern yourself. You're going to have your own left hand, meaning your own social, your own community of like-minded people who are power brokers. You're going to have your feet, your economics is going to be well in place. You're going to be very wealthy individuals. And most of all, you're going to be eating the right food. You won't be eating the meat, the starch, the sugar, and the dairy. You'll be eating a plant and fruit-based diet. And most of all, even more significant than the other four, you will know who the true Lord is, that the Lord is Thoth, and you will know the angelic name of God Almighty, the chief netter, that it's Allah. And you will be blessed and stay blessed and tie yourself to the true Lord, which is Thoth, and the true God Almighty, the netter, Allah, the Most High. Let's continue reading. And if thou hearken unto the commandments, hearken mean listen. If you listen unto the 12 laws and 2 statutes of the Lord thy God, the Lord again we know is Thoth, Thoth thy God, he is the God put in place by God Almighty to lead man and woman out of darkness into light, which I command thee, so the children of Israel, children of Lewis, the children of Jacob, the same individuals are being commanded to follow these 12 laws and 2 statutes. And if you observe them, meaning comply, obey them, and do them, practice them, the 12 laws and the 2 statutes, there is no nation at all that can put you at the tail and move themselves to the head. That will not happen once you tie yourself into the 12 laws and 2 statutes and you comply with them. You know what they are, you follow them, and you practice them. nothing can conquer you. And that's what I'd wanted to bring to your attention, that although this may seem impossible of a task, maybe to us, but in the eyes of the Creator, Allah, the true netter, and the Lord Thoth, who was put in charge to make sure that we move from the age of darkness into light, none of this becomes impossible. We just have to know it's going to happen, get ourselves ready, make yourself ready and prepared. It shall happen, it will happen, and it's going to happen. Get yourself ready. Get your food supply in order. Get your water supply in order. Get your safety in order, your security in order. If you're not in any of the promised land area, those 4 areas, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, then get yourself even more ready. But at some point in time, later on, we'll discuss that you're going to have to move into the promised land to make sure that you stay safe through all the tragedy and catastrophes that will be happening on the American soil. Rest assured that you shall be restored. So that's what I'd wanted to leave with you, as there is not only hope, but it's written in the scriptures that you shall get your restoration within that 30 years, and the last shall be first, and whoever was first shall be last. With that, I'll bring this to a close. Be very mindful that the Jubilee does exist. It operated for 400 years, 8 Jubilee cycle, where there was affliction. There was no restoring any 50 years of the Jubilee, no restoration, no bringing you back to your land, no bringing you back to your family, no giving you back your possession, both your economic possession and your political possession. But now at the end of those 8 Jubilees, the end of the complete numbering of the star, a new star is about to begin. And those who have afflicted you and have kept you in bondage during that 400 year, yes, they would love to repeat another 400 years, but no, it's written in the stars, in the sacred geometry, that will not happen. The sacred geometry shows that within 30 years of the ending of that affliction, you shall be at a point where you're fully restored and moving into the start of a new and more prosperous time of light. I'll bring this one to an end. As always, have a pleasant and wonderful day and continue your journey of learning, acquiring knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.